Alright, so we're going to be calculating the radius of convergence for this power series up here, which is negative 1 to the n times x to the n over n plus 1. So we see an n in the exponent. That indicates to us that we should use the ratio test, because the ratio test is useful for when you see n's in the exponents, because they often cancel out due to the rules of exponents. So we follow the general form of a ratio test, which is a limit as n goes to infinity of x to the n plus 1 over x to the n has to be less than 1. That's the requirement for convergence of that series. So we apply that test to this series, and we get this mess up here, this mess, which is negative 1 to the n plus 1 times x to the n times x over n plus 2 divided by negative 1 to the n times x to the n over n plus 1. We see that by x to the n plus 1, I mean for every single time you see an n, you input an n plus 1. So we move on to over here, and we attempt to simplify it a bit so we can attempt to cancel out the terms to simplify the equation. So we see that we can cancel out negative 1 to the n over here, x to the n up here, and we're left with negative 1, limit as n goes to infinity of absolute value of negative 1 times x times n plus 1 all over n plus 2 absolute value, and that has to be less than 1. So then we go over here, and you see that the negative 1 disappeared because due to the absolute value sign, the negative sign doesn't matter, and we can take it out. Now we see that the limit only has to deal with n's, so we can remove this x term and move it out front. Keep in mind that you need to keep the absolute value in there. So we simplify this, and this limit equals 1 because of the property of same exponents. The limit as n goes to infinity of a function with the same exponents is just the coefficient of the ratio of their coefficients. So that becomes 1, and you get absolute value of x is less than 1, and that means the interval of x for convergence is negative 1 to 1. But the question asks for radius of convergence up here. So we can see that the radius is 1 with the center at 0. Alright, that's for this problem. Thank you. Goodbye.